The boy who remembered his past life. In 1962, a 3-year-old boy named Paul walked into his kindergarten class and announced to his teacher that he wasn't supposed to be there. Instead, he said he was supposed to be flying a mission over Germany in a twin-engine fighter plane like the ones he saw at an air show the year before. He went on to explain that his aircraft was called the W22312 and that his ship was the Scharnhorst. He even told the name of his squadron, the 4th Fighter Squadron Richthofen Circus. But how could this kid know all of that? His story gets crazier as it goes on. So let's get right to it. Paul Leon Walker was born on August 17, 1959. His parents were working-class folk living in Berlin, Germany. His father was a miner and his mother was a housewife. When Paul turned 3, he began acting strange. He would talk about a past life and describe details that no one else knew. At first, it was just random comments. Then he started telling full-blown stories. And these weren't stories about his parents, his house, or any other aspect of his current life. All of his stories were about World War II. Paul claimed to have been a pilot in World War II, and he would describe things with such accuracy that it made people question if he really had lived another life. Paul would talk about his plane, the Messerschmitt Lee 209, which was indeed a twin-engine fighter plane developed in Germany in the late 1930s. He also described the ship he was stationed on called the Scharnhorst, which was a German warship launched in 1938 and sunk during the Battle of the North Cape in December of 1943. Finally, he mentioned the squadron he belonged to, the 4th Fighter Squadron Richthofen Circus. This was a real squadron that operated between September 1940 and January 1945. They were known for their skill and bravery, but they were also very secretive, and it's believed they carried out many classified missions. But why would a 3-year-old child know all of this? How did he come up with the name of his plane, the name of his ship, and the name of his squadron? There are 2 possible explanations. The first is that Paul has an incredible memory and he witnessed an air show the year before featuring twin-engine fighter planes. It just so happens that the planes at the air show were the same planes he saw while fighting in World War II. It's also possible that he learned about the Scharnhorst and the 4th Fighter Squadron from somewhere. Maybe he heard the names while playing with toys or watching TV. As for the fact that he remembered the name of his plane, well, that could just be a coincidence. However, there is another explanation. Paul may have actually lived through World War II and died as a pilot in a plane crash or battle. If this is true, then it would mean that memories can survive death. This is a controversial topic, but there are many people who believe that this is possible. There are many cases of people who have had near-death experiences and have come back with memories of a past life. In some cases, these memories have been verified and others they haven't. But in every case, they're fascinating and make us wonder if there's more to life than what we see. Let's take a look at some of Paul's claims and see if they can be verified. First, let's talk about his plane. Paul said that he flew a Messerschmitt Me 209. This was a real plane that was used by the Germans during World War II. It was a twin-engine fighter plane that was designed to be fast and maneuverable. However, it was very complicated to build, and there were problems with its engines. This led to several crashes, and eventually the project was abandoned. Paul said that his plane was shot down over Germany, and that he managed to parachute to safety but broke his leg on landing. He said that when he looked up in the sky after he landed, he could see the burning wreckage of his plane. It sounds like a dramatic story, but is it true? Well, it turns out that there were only 18 of these planes ever built, and none of them are still around today. They were all either destroyed during testing or in combat. There's one museum in Germany that has a replica of the plane, but it's not an original. So it is possible that Paul could have seen one of these planes in a museum or at an air show. But it's also possible that he really did fly one. After all, the Germans were very secretive about their weapons, and they didn't release many details about the Messerschmitt May 209 until after the war had ended. It's possible that Paul's family didn't know much about his past life, and that he came across this information on his own. Now, let's talk about the Scharnhorst. This was a German warship that was sunk during the Battle of the North Cape in December of 1943. The ship was hit by bombs and shells from the British and Norwegian forces and eventually sank. All of the crew members on board were killed. Paul said that he was on board the ship when it was attacked, and he watched as it sank to the bottom of the ocean. He said that he tried to swim to safety, but the water was freezing cold, and he couldn't stay afloat for long. Eventually, he blacked out and woke up in a hospital bed. Again, it sounds like a dramatic story, but is it true? Well, the sinking of the Scharnhorst is a well-documented event. There are many books and articles written about it, and there are even videos of it on YouTube. You can watch the actual footage of the ship being bombed and sunk. So it's definitely possible that Paul could have been on board the ship and witnessed the attack firsthand. But it's also possible that he learned about the attack from somewhere else, like from reading a book or watching a documentary. Finally, let's talk about the 4th Fighter Squadron. This was a German squadron that operated between September 1940 and January 1945. They were known for their skill and bravery, but they were also very secretive, and it's believed that they carried out many classified missions. Paul said that he was a part of this squadron and that he flew many missions with them. He said that he was good friends with one of the pilots, but that the pilot was killed in action. Again, it sounds like a dramatic story, but is it true? Well, there's very little information available about the 4th Fighter Squadron. This is because they were such a secretive group, and because most of their records were destroyed during the war. However, there is a book called The Red Baron Squadrons by David H. Martin. In this book, David writes about the history of the German Air Force, and he gives information about some of the most famous squadrons. On page 83, he talks about the 4th Fighter Squadron, and he says that they were disbanded in January of 1945. He also says that they were involved in a lot of secret missions, and that most of their records were destroyed. So it's definitely possible that Paul was a part of this squadron and that he flew many missions with them. However, without any records to back up his claim, we can't say for sure. So what do you think? Do you think Paul remembered a past life, or do you think he just has an incredible memory? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinion. While researching for this video, I came across some interesting theories about World War II. For example, did you know that Adolf Hitler had a twin brother who died at birth? Or that the United States was the only country that dropped atomic bombs on another country during World War II? These are just two of the many interesting facts that I learned while researching for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe and turn on notifications so that you never miss an upload. Thank you for watching, and until next time.